Hello and welcome along to another CrowdProperty.com funding opportunity. And today we're returning to the Regent's House, 10 to 13 Gordon Terrace in Plymouth, PL4 6EP, and this is the Phase 2 raised. Now, CrowdProperty is a peer-to-peer lending platform designed to facilitate loans between private individuals and professional property businesses. CrowdProperty is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority under permission number 723959. CrowdProperty is not covered by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. There are risks with any loans you make, and just like all peer-to-peer lending, your capital is at risk. CrowdProperty endeavours to protect all lenders. This is done by registering the legal first charge against the property project. This means that in the very unlikely event a borrower defaults on the loan, CrowdProperty will be able to take ownership of the project and manage it for the lenders. So let's talk then about this project. I'm delighted to say we've got two of the team joining us here today. First of all, let me introduce you to Kyle Bailey. Welcome along, Kyle. The property is being purchased by KHP Investments Limited. Explain more about that company and how it's all set up.
So KHP Investments is a joint venture between Moorview and White Dog. So there's 5 directors involved. So on the White Dog side, you've got myself, Phil Bailey and Zylila Bailey. We're a family. Philip is an architect. I've worked with him for a number of years now. I'm a trained building surveyor, and Zylila is his wife. And on the other side, we've got Moorview, which is James and Mo, who run a letting agency. So in 2016, we decided to upscale and run developments ourselves, which we started with CrowdProperty on our project in Saltash, which was very successful and was repaid in 2016-17. And then we've gone on from there to run multiple projects together, of which this is the latest one.
And I've got some examples of the 2 CrowdProperty funded deals you've done previously, which you fully paid back, in fact, Wyndham and Crediton. I've got more details on those a little bit later on. So I just want to summarise then the fact that this is a joint interconnected loan between 2 different companies, KHP Investments Limited, who purchased number 10 and 11, and White Dog Investments that have bought numbers 12 and 13. They are interconnected, these loans between both parties, and CrowdProperty's got cross-collateralized between the 2 with equal security against the buildings. So you talked about Phil and Zylila. Tell us a little bit more about the 3 of you, because as you said, you're all part of the same family.
Yeah, well, I've known Phil all my life, surprisingly, being his son. As I said, he's an architect and he had his own practice up in Hertfordshire, and we did a lot of work in North London on refurbishments, particularly listed buildings, some new build stuff as well. And in 2015, he took the decision to move down to Devon, and he met Mo and James at a local networking event and helped them out on one of their developments they were doing. And together they started looking at Kingsley House, and at that point I was sort of brought in, still living up in Hertfordshire. I moved down as well, and yeah, the rest is history.
And of course, Zylila being your mum and Phil's wife as well. You mentioned there earlier about Mo and James. I'm delighted to say that Mo joins us here on this webinar too. Welcome along again, Mo. Talk to us a little bit more about how you and James get involved.
James is our construction expert, so he's got a construction background. He's worked in the construction industry for a large construction company before jumping in to do property full time. And myself, I've done project management within financial institutions. Previously, after university, I went to do that for a few years, working with Lloyds Bank and HSBC, and then jumped into property full time in 2016 when we started on Kingsley House. So James and I run Moorview Lets, who we've actually got a bit more than 180 rooms now. We're just over, 240 rooms that we manage. We own some of those, and we're going to be managing Regent House as well once it's all complete.
So let's talk a little bit more then about Regent's House, which is the project we're talking about today. It's a development loan. There's a facility of £1.15 million that CrowdProperty is putting towards the purchase and refurbishment of the property from being a dilapidated student HMO into becoming a high-end professional HMO. This is the phase 2 of 3-phase raise, which will enable the borrowers to begin the refurbishment. The loan is for a term of 15 months, with the second phase raise being £200,000. And interest on this phase is 8%. It's rolled up and paid at the exit. So let's talk then a little bit more about Regent's House. And let's start off by telling us a little bit more about Plymouth itself, which is on the coast down in Devon. And tell us a little bit more, if you can, Mo, about how you found this property deal.
Yeah, so this property, it's been in the paper as one of the largest private student HMOs in the UK. So we sort of knew about it. I went to university down in Plymouth, so we sort of knew about it then. And we just found it through a local agent, a commercial agent that we one that we sourced. We bought our office through, one which we also bought Wyndham Hall through as a big agent down in Plymouth. We've got a good relationship with them, and yeah, we just sourced it through them. Been on the market for a while, so we got a good amount off the purchase price as well.
Now, predominantly, it's in a residential area. It used to be 4 double-fronted late Victorian terraced houses, and then it was merged to create 32-bedroom student accommodation. It's quite something as a building to look at. You'll see on photos later on. And it's located in Plymouth, which is the largest city in Devon, population being of around about 250,000 people or thereabouts. The borrowers intend to carry out a comprehensive refurbishment and renovate the properties to provide 32 rooms, plus individual shared kitchens and living rooms under the planning reference 19/01741/FUL. And the subdivision of the existing 32-bedroom student homes will then become 3 8-beds and 1 9-bed HMO. So there's 4 properties: number 10 Gordon Terrace, number 11, number 12, and number 13 Gordon Terrace, with a mix of most of them being 8 bedrooms and number 13 being 9 bedrooms. The loans to fund the purchase and the conversion works. And of course, CrowdProperty already has first charge security to secure people investing on this project. And the exit strategy is that they're going to be refinanced onto 4 separate standard buy-to-let mortgages on completion of the works. Here are the location plans to show you. So on the left-hand side, you can see where the property is located with regards to Plymouth itself and indeed the coast. Looking on the right-hand side, you can see it in a little bit more details, close to the railway line there as Gordon Terrace. And then looking here, you can see it's actually called a nursing home, edged in red if you look on the left. And that is the property that we're talking about. But it's also been student accommodation too. And then here is how it looks on the front and the rear shots. And I want to bring you back in here, please, if I can, Carl, because that's quite a stunning property, isn't it?
They're amazing properties. Yeah.
And looking there at the front, of course, the back is completely different to it. So just explain how there appears to be different levels.
The land slopes up towards the back, so it sort of looks like it's slightly lower on the back. However, there is a sort of a light well and some steps down into sort of the rear entrances. It looks so different at the back because it's been messed around with so much over the years. So obviously these were created as fairly grand sort of individual houses, and the 4 of them have been sort of knocked together to form this super HMO of 32 bedrooms. So a lot of our proposal is actually to get rid of some of those extensions at the back and make it a little bit nicer out there, but whilst retaining the front and putting them back to the way that they originally were.
Now, work is already continuing on these. In fact, lots of progress have been happening since the 2nd of July, and you've appointed the contractor now. You're building, got the scaffolding up, preparations to begin the refurbishment well underway, and you're stripping out the interior. And we can see some photos there on the right-hand side of part of that work. Here is the facade of it. And just talk through them, please, Mo, if you can, what it is that we're looking at here, because those 4 individual houses, they obviously have been put all as one property at the moment, and you're going to split them back up into 4 separate places. Talk us through how that's going to work.
Yeah, that's right. So at the moment, there's one entrance, which is it's the second one in from the left, which is number 11. So that's the only entrance. All the others are blocked up. So, and there's big communal corridors running through them to join them all together. So we're going to be splitting them back down into 4 self-contained units and reinstating the entrances. So you can see on the northwest elevation, you can see the entrances that will be reinstated, the 4. So they're 4 individual properties. So yeah, 3 8-beds and a 9-bed with a lot of ensuite rooms in there as well. So yeah, it's exciting.
Let's have a look then at those floor plans, and maybe Carl, you could talk us through these. So first of all, this is numbers 10 and 11.
Yeah, this is 10 and 11, very similar layouts. Obviously, they're all built to the same floor plan originally with the tenement building at the back. So we do a lot of HMOs in Plymouth, and this is a relatively standard layout for the type of things we do. The only difference in number 10 is that unfortunately the staircase had been removed when they knocked it all together, so we have to reinstate that as a brand new staircase, which is a little bit unfortunate to have lost all that original fabric, but we work with what we've got. And then it's the front rooms are obviously slightly bigger. They were the grander rooms originally, so there's space there to fit en suites in. We can look to do back-to-backs on some of those so that both the back and the front rooms have en suites. So we end up with a total of 8 bedrooms and 6 en suites there. In the tenement building, we've got the communal areas and the kitchens, and above is the nice big 8 bedroom with its own proper bathroom in, which is a nice selling point for these houses.
Let's then move on to numbers 12 and 13.
So number 12 is very similar to 10 and 11 in the way that it's laid out. Number 13 is slightly different. That one's had another extension on the back. And we felt because of the way the land works at the back and the quality of that extension with the nice big thick walls on it, it was worth keeping hold of. It also provides us with somewhere for a utility room and a bike store as well, which all of the houses could share, but provides additional storage for the units. And that one ends up being 9 bedroom unit because of that extra space at the back with 7 ensuite bedrooms.
It's quite a stunning building. I'd like to come back to you, Mo, if I may. Who do you think is going to be renting these from you?
So we've got a lot of demand for working professionals in the city. There's a lot of employment within the university. There's a lot of big companies that are based in Plymouth. You've got the likes of Babcock and Princess Yachts. So they're basically essentially working professionals that have got a really good income and are looking to either move out of living at home, or they're looking to save up while they're before they buy a property. So it's having this one price to pay for all of your bills, all inclusive, is a really popular model in Plymouth. And we have a lot of graduates that come out of university that are used to living in properties like this, but obviously not of the standard that we do. So we have a lot of tenants that are graduates as well.
And you're talking there about students and graduates. Tell us a little bit more about the location of these houses.
Yeah, so it's about a 5-minute walk from the university, and again about a 5-minute walk from the train station. So it's really well located, central, close to shops. There's parking on the street. We're providing some parking with the scheme as well. So really well connected and a familiar area, particularly for the graduate market. It's a very familiar area. It's not quite slap bang in the middle of the student zone, but it's very, very close. So it's got the benefit of that location as well.
Now, we mentioned earlier about the 2 big deals that you borrowed from CrowdProperty before. These have been finished and they've been paid back to the crowd in full. This first case study I'd like you to talk through is Wyndham Hall, and tell us exactly how this started and what you've done with it.
This was a derelict non-conformist chapel that had been used as a sort of sports hall / gym, had been vacant. I think it was for about 12 years or so. It was actually only over 2 floors. So you had the lower ground floor, the basement, and then you had the ground floor, which is, if you look at the picture in the top right, you can see the windows there, the big, large windows, which and that was the floor level there. So we've converted this into 30 HMO rooms split across 6 flats. We've got 2 7-beds and 4 4-beds, and they're renting really, really well. People love living there. You can see from the picture in the bottom right, like how fantastic it looks. We're really, really proud to bring such an amazing building back to life. A really good centrally located area as well. So yeah, really, really happy with the outcome of that project.
You kept the character, and of course it looks so good in the neighbourhood as well.
Yeah.
The other case study I'd like to talk through is Orchard House in Crediton. This is a different kind of product that you've done, but again, this one you've fully paid back as well. Just talk us through this one, Kyle.
This is an ex-care home in Crediton. So Crediton's about 20 minutes outside of Exeter, which is the other major city in the southwest. This one we turned from a care home, I can't remember how many bedrooms it is, but that's into 22 flats there. So we finished phase 1 practical completion back in December, and the final units were just finished at the start of March. So we've currently sold out of those 22, I think it's now 15 with another 2 under offer. So sales are still going really well there, and yeah, we were able to pay back the crowds with interest before the deadline. So we're really happy with how that one's gone.
So thank you both for explaining that. Let's then summarise what we're talking about here by way of the phase 2 raise of Regent's House. And so this is the second phase of those 3 phases. It's for a facility of £1.15 million. This raise is for £200,000 with the interest rolled up and paid at the exit. That's paying 8% per annum in interest. Purchase price of £1.075 million, and that's been validated by the RICS valuer as well. The first phase was for £665,000 gross. Therefore, the initial loan to value was 57.8% when you include the retained interest. RICS have validated the gross development value to be £1.97 million, and the loan to gross development value when you include the interest from these future raises is 60.4%. Excluding interest, it's 58.38%. Lenders going to receive that 8% per annum with the interest rolled up and paid at the end of the loan term. This phase is a maximum loan period of 15 months, 40 months for this phase, and this phase 2 is targeted to commence soon after the 16th of July 2020. Remember, the exit strategy is that the intention is on completion of the works, the properties are going to be refinanced onto a buy-to-let mortgage and then let out in the local marketplace. It's already been secured with a first charge security against the property. So your next steps then are to make sure that you understand this loan and carry out your own due diligence. Decide how much you would like to lend, and then visit CrowdProperty.com to pledge on launch. The necessary anti-money laundering checks will be carried out, and then you'll be invited to send your funds to your own online e-wallet, and you'll start earning that interest on completion of the loan agreement. So thank you for watching this webinar. This is the phase 2 of 3 phases, where we're looking to raise £200,000. This phase 2 loan is expected to start soon after the 16th of July 2020. And this is for Regent's House, 10 to 13 Gordon Terrace in Plymouth, PL4 6EP. Thank you for watching this webinar. We look forward to you joining us again soon here at CrowdProperty.com.